Do one of you long for deeper, more connected conversations and the other longs for more intimacy in your sex life? Today, we're going to discover what the two of those have in common and how they powerfully go together. Hi, I'm Julia Woods, coach, trainer, and founder of Beautiful Outcome, a coaching company committed to help couples see and understand each other no matter how difficult the conversation, so you can spend your precious time laughing and enjoying life together. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the little hidden secret my husband helped me understand that is unlocking much more powerful and deep conversations. And at the end, I have a gift for you that's going to help you actually apply what you're learning from this episode today. So lonely and so frustrated in the conversations I was trying to have and wanting to have with my husband, Jeff. I would ask him questions and I would get one-word answers. It felt like I was talking to a brick wall and I literally wanted to scream. And sometimes I did. And one day I was complaining to my husband about his one-word answers. And he said to me, honey, how does it work for you if I'm wanting to make love and I say to you, let's just get right to it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't work because I need foreplay. He's like, exactly. I need foreplay in our conversations. He said, you ask these questions that require me to get so vulnerable so quick. Like, that doesn't work for me. I need some foreplay to help me move into the conversation and the deeper levels that you're wanting to have. That made a massive difference. There are 3 key things that I learned that really help set the mood for the conversations that we long for. Just like my husband had worked really hard through the years to learn what foreplay looked like in our sexual life, I needed to learn how to set the mood and create the experience I longed for in our conversation. So these are 3 things that have really helped change the conversations. One of the first things was that my husband needs kind of points. He needs me to get to the point. And often I would find myself rambling on and on and on, like, this is what happened, and then this happened, and then it would really make a difference for me if you would do this. And the other day how you did that, and that didn't work for me. And he'd sit there at the end of my blah, 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 and look at me with these glazed eyes like, what did you just say? So one of the things that I learned was in setting the foreplay was I needed to get really clear about what it was that I wanted to say and share it one point at a time. By sharing it one point at a time and then waiting for him to respond or asking what he thought about that, he opened up a whole lot more than when I had just rambled it all out and then expected him to give me all these thoughts that he had about everything I had just shared. That brings me to point number 2, and that is I began to discover he's not my journal. I didn't realize that as I was rambling all these things and using him as my journal, I was using him to be the one that I was looking, let me externalize all this on you and have you help me figure out what I'm trying to say. So for me, a big part of the foreplay was actually taking some time to journal, to get to know myself, to get honest about what I was thinking and feeling, what I was really needing and wanting to communicate. And from there, once I'd done the pre-work, then all of a sudden I had the clarity of what points I wanted to make. And then it was easier for me to break it into one point at a time. The third point is I began to understand how often in the way I communicated, it wasn't obvious to him that first I loved him and second I wanted and needed him. And that began to become a powerful part of the foreplay. Even if I could just physically touch him, he got the sense that I loved him. Even if I could just start the point with, hey, I really love how you see things. And could you help me see how you see this, what I'm about to share with you? Can you give me that powerful thing that you do where you see what I can't? So as I began to work on my parts in the conversation that allowed him to feel loved and needed, it allowed him to get to the heart of what I was saying, and it allowed him to be able to have space where he could comment and share thoughts in short segments rather than a long segment. It began to change our conversations. That brought me to the next point of how to set the mood or how to enter into conversation foreplay. And for me, for us, it started with a thing called Sundown. And one day, a friend of ours told us about a South African tradition where in South Africa, you grab a bottle of wine at sunset and you grab your favorite people and you drive the Jeep out to this beautiful looking point and you drink the bottle of wine and talk together. And so my husband and I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so we decided to add food to it. And so after work, we would just set out a little thing of a little charcuterie or a little nuts and olives. And we would get a glass of wine and we would just start talking. And one day I was like, my husband has said more in this conversation that we've had over the last 30 minutes than I have heard him often say in 2-hour conversations that we had. So setting the mood with food and drink is an important piece that really helps create a lot more openness in our conversations. Another thing that really helps in the foreplay is simply being honest about what I want. Like, I want to chat right now. I want to connect with you. I want to have a conversation with you. Asking the question, is this a good time for you to chat? Often he'd be watching a ball game or he'd be, thinking about his day or typing an email and I start talking and he gives me a one-word answer and then I'm frustrated. But I didn't set the mood by saying, hey, is this a good time to chat? A third way that helps set the mood is really understanding the differences between men and women. And I began to understand, my son actually helped me understand this, that men need to decompress in a way that women don't. Like, as soon as I shut my computer from work, I'm ready to just dive in and start talking to my husband about all the things I've thought about that day that I can't wait to tell him and can't wait to talk to him. When he shuts down his computer, we're at a different situation. He actually needs to compartmentalize. He needs to put away the pieces of work and open up into, now I'm ready to have a conversation. So it's beginning to ask him hey, do you need some downtime? And how much downtime do you need? My son helped me learn he needs a minimum of 30 minutes. And so with my husband, it's not that long. He doesn't need that long, but I've learned to just give him some space after he works and actually do my work in my mind at that time to get clear on what is the conversation I want to have. How do I get to the point? And by giving him his space, me working through that, it helps us go much deeper and have more open conversations. That brings me to the fourth and final piece about how to create foreplay in conversation. And that is really to start with a simpler question, right? Like my husband shared, often I can get so vulnerable and so deep with my first question, hey, when we go to see, our kids, what is it that you're really wanting to cause? What is the depth of how you want to connect with them? And he's like, what? So I've learned to start the conversations with a simple conversation starter, like, hey, how was your day? Or, hey, what unexpected thing happened in your day? Or what was your high, low, and unexpected? Or what was something powerful that happened for you today that you've been thinking about that you want to share with me? And when I can start with just a simple ease in, then he's much more open and ready when I ask a much more vulnerable question that he needs to think a little longer about. The powerful thing that came out of all of this was the discovery that I was just kind of frustrated and irritated and expecting my husband to learn how to meet his sexual needs by discovering what my needs were. But what I hadn't taken the time to discover is that I needed to learn how to meet my needs in conversation by discovering how to help him open up and how to help him step into the gift and the foreplay of a conversation. If you have found this episode helpful today, would you please take a few minutes and thumbs up this conversation? Would you be willing to share in the comments below one thing that you're taking away that you're excited to implement? What was your favorite foreplay idea for conversation? And then don't forget to subscribe so that you can receive a notification when these episodes come up. And lastly, your free gift. This free gift is going to be a PDF that allows you to really discover how to do some of that pre-work, how to get to know yourself so that you can find out how to open up a conversation that connects you and your husband without dumping all over them. I can't wait for you to get that, and I can't wait for you to join me next week in our next episode. Founder of coach, trainer, and founder of Beautiful Outcome, a coaching how difficult the conversation so that you can really see an understanding and limited time. What is going on? No, it's not. Ugh.